Hello, and welcome to Sacred Stories Author Summit. I am Reverend Patricia Caginello, and I'm so happy that you're here. Today we are with Jim Phillips, the author of The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression. So welcome, Jim.
Hi, Patricia. How are you?
I'm well. So I'm excited to just dig right into the key to life, or what life means. So in your book, and hold it up so we can start with a picture of it first so people can see. So the key to life, living in full expression. That is what life means. Jim, thank you. Share with our audience what living in full expression means to you.
Well, I want to make sure everybody heard what you just said, and that is that the word life is the acronym for living in full expression. And I believe that that's our purpose for being here on this planet, is to live in full expression of the truth of who we are. However, what we need to do, and it's really what the book is all about, is it's revealing to ourselves what that truth is. In fact, I believe that the definition of life on planet Earth is the progressive realization of the truth of who we are. And then as we go through the different life experiences that we have, and we gain more and more truth of who we are, and we start to live from that truth, we're fulfilling our soul's purpose.
So share what this book is about, the construct, or how you've set it up, because it's filled, I'll just give it a little sneak peek, it's filled with lots of little truisms, if you'll say, or quotes from you to help us live in full expression, as you say. So share a little bit more about what they can expect when they read The Key to Life.
Well, The Key to Life, it's really, I'm not going to say it's about my life, because it's not, but I am a human on this planet like everybody else. I have had many of the same experiences other people have had. So what the book does, it allows people to see things that perhaps they're going to experience or have from my perspective, what I gained from it, and perhaps maybe shed some light on their experience so that they can better understand the experience and how it might benefit them. And quite honestly, get to the truth of who they are. So the book is not, it's not organized as a step-by-step process. It answers a lot of questions that most of us have. It gets into the big question, who am I? It gets into the secondary big question, why am I here? And the third question is, what am I to do about it? So it goes into a lot of different areas answering those three questions, but without answering it for the reader. The reader has to come to their own conclusion. This is not about me. One of the primary quotes in the book, and it's one that's on my website as well, is that there is no right path or wrong path. There's your path. Follow it. And I believe that to be one of the biggest truths we can understand. We have to understand that it's not about you or me in terms of all of us following the same path. It's about each one of us recognizing we are an individuated expression of the divine, if I can use that definition, and we have our own path that we're to follow.
So what are the three questions again? Remind everybody, who am I?
Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
What am I here to do? Or what's my life's purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And then how am I to fulfill that?
And how am I to fulfill that? So I would say, yes, those are probably the three biggest questions, right, that everyone has. And I think that that's part of, especially once people, even today, to be quite honest, I think the young people are feeling that so much younger. You know, it used to be kind of that midlife crisis people would have, saying, who am I and what is my purpose, become midlife. But I feel that society is we've really stepped into that. Even in kids going to college, they're feeling such a pressure to figure out who they are on a really grand scale. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I think what's happening also is that you mentioned people in midlife. We can talk about the baby boomers who, for the most part, are in the 60s to 70 range right now, the vast majority anyway. I think their children are looking at them and saying, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be at that point in my life and be looking back at life and say there has to be more than what I've already experienced. So I think children are starting to ask those questions earlier on because they don't want to waste all this time and get to that point and then have to look back. They want to say, okay, from this point forward, I want to be living my life in full expression. I want to better understand who I am, why I'm here, and how I can fulfill that. And I think we're seeing that in a lot of these younger kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there are three major questions in my life. At least that's what propelled me on my spiritual journey, really deeply into my spiritual journey. So you say the book is not about you, even though you do share some of your story. It's really about the reader finding the answers for themselves. And I think that's super important because I don't think it's meaningful if it's someone else's story or someone else's thoughts and processes. Would you agree?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges we have, and this may touch on a rather touchy area for a lot of people. I don't believe we're here to follow any one example of any one person that's ever lived. Mm-hmm. I believe we can look at how other people have lived. We can get an understanding of who they were, what their life purpose was for them at that particular point in time. But then we have to step back and say, okay, these are the times I'm living in now. This is what I have available to me. This is what excites me. This is what I'm passionate about. This feels good. This is really what I'm all about. And by doing that, we're answering our soul's call. And that's why we're here. We're to pay attention to that and live from that place of greater understanding and knowing, so that our life is more fulfilled. It's not about how much money I leave when I die. It's not about the big house, the big car. It's not about any of that, although that's part of our lives. But that's not our reason for being here.
So we said you have a lot of truisms or Jimisms, let's call them, in the book. Let's share a couple that are some of your favorites, even though I'm sure they're all favorites, but that speak to you today that you'd like to share.
Well, the one I already shared about, there is no right path, wrong path, there's your path. That's one of my favorite ones, because when I've shared that with people, you can sense that they kind of let their shoulders drop, because they now know that there isn't any pressure on them. It's not about living up to anybody else's expectations. It's about being real. Me being me. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. As long as I'm living my life as I know myself to be, and continue to reveal to myself who that being is, then it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter what I do. Now, also, this is not about stepping on other people. It's not about taking advantage of other people. It's about living from the heart, living from the truth. Mm-hmm. Another one that I really like, and this one became my mantra while writing the book, because I think you, dealing with the authors you do, and you've written, you get to a point when writing a book where you start questioning everything you're doing, who you are to write a book, who's going to buy it, why would they buy it? There's already 50,000 books out there on the same subject matter. And so you question it. So I questioned it. And what I do when I have a big question like that is I go for walks early in the morning. I call that time being immersed in the silence of the dawn. So on this particular morning, I was struggling with my writing. I was just really at a place where I was frustrated. I just couldn't get beyond myself, which is all it was. So I went out for a walk and I asked the question. I said, I'm writing this book. I'm excited about it, but I'm not feeling good about it. And I don't understand what this is all about. And I immediately got an answer. And the answer was, you would not be inspired to do something if it wasn't intended to be. And I thought about that, and it was like a big aha, because it resonated so true with me. And that goes for everybody. These messages are not just for me. It came to me, but for me to give out and to share with other people. And we have to understand that those inspirations that were given, they're intended. That there's nothing about it that would make it a whim. And especially if they continue to show up. We have to understand that your soul will be persistent in what it wants to experience and express. So writing this book was a part of that for me. So when I understood that if I was intended to write the book, which I was, or if I was inspired to write the book, which I was, then it was intended to be. So I got beyond that, and I started writing again, and everything felt good, and things started falling in place.
That's one of my favorites. You would not be inspired to do something if it wasn't right.
Right.
I want to mention people that are on with us. If you want to say hello in the queue, we will be giving away a free copy of Jim's book, The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression, to one lucky winner that we'll pick from the queue. Jim, hold up the cover again so everyone can see. So if you just want to say hello, if you have a question for Jim, you want to type it in the queue. Again, we'll be choosing one lucky winner. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. So you would not be inspired. I love that one the most, I think, because I think that we have a tendency to diminish, our own selves, our own light, our own purpose. We think that other people are more important, similar to what you just said, as far as who am I to do this, or who would buy my book, and all of those self-doubting questions. Why do you think we doubt so much? Why do you think that seems to be the go-to feeling that we have?
It's easy. It's easier to not answer the call. Well, let me just say, it's easier initially to not answer the call, but then it becomes more difficult to not answer the call because it's going to be persistent. And I just think that we get caught up in everything that life is providing us or showing us or putting in front of us on a daily basis that we don't pay attention to it. We as a society don't tend to believe this dialogue or this information that we're getting through our intuition or through whatever the source may be. We don't trust it. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. We don't trust it. But one of the things that I've experienced and that I would suggest people do is that whether you do anything else, next time you have an inspiration, just start to play with it. Don't deny it. Just play with it. Give it a little bit of life. Breathe some life into it. And actually, one of the quotes in the book is, when you breathe life into your inspiration, life is breathed into you. So it causes you then to start taking steps and moving more towards the realization or the manifestation of whatever that particular inspiration might be. So we have to honor and respect it. We have to give it the space that it needs to expand. And the more we do that, the more we're going to be given inspirations. The more inspirations we get, the more we have the opportunity to experience and express our true power and our true self. So it's a process that is there, has always been there, always will be there. Once we acknowledge it, once we start to play with it, and when I say play with it, I mean that. I mean really play with it. Just have fun with it. Don't deny it. Don't question it. Just allow it and see what shows up.
You know, I agree with that. I agree that once we say yes, things open.
Right. Yeah.
Jim, share with everyone how they can get in touch with you, how they can find you, your website, and more work that you're doing.
Well, my website is livinginfullexpression.com, and on it you'll find a calendar of events, different programs that I'm doing. I also do coaching, but my coaching, I call it life strategy. I think it's a little bit more in-depth and more detailed than someone who might say that they're a life coach, because I believe there are certain strategies that we can really look at and grab hold of that will help people take each step that they need to take to move forward towards that full expression and experience of who they are. If someone wants to call me, I am fine with that. I'm at 703-626-8441 if they want to have a conversation. If they want to have a brief strategy session, they can go on my website and sign up for a brief strategy session, and we can have a conversation there as well.
Okay. And your book, The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression, is available from Sacred Stories Publishing. It Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pretty much everywhere that you can buy a book, you can buy The Key to Life. You can also buy it direct from Jim from his website also. So I encourage you to check it out. All Sacred Stories books from sacredstoriespublishing.com are 20% off through November 30th. So I encourage you to go there and find your favorites and take advantage of that also. Say hello in the queue, because again, we'll be giving away one free copy of The Key to Life. Jim, final thoughts for our audience?
I want to read one of the passages in the book.
Okay.
And it I'm not going to say it sums it up, but I think it really addresses what we've just been talking about. And here it is. When you are inspired to do something, whatever it is in you that calls to be expressed, answer the call. Be bold, cross the threshold into uncertainty with the joyous anticipation that you are in fact stepping into your magnificence, and that whatever results will benefit you and others. Otherwise, you would not have been inspired in the first place.
I love that, and a perfect wrap-up for our conversation. So Jim Phillips from The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And everyone on the call, thank you. We will be back at 3:15, not to mix you up, but 3:15 with author Jane Galloway talking about the gateways, the wisdom of 12-step spirituality. So I hope you will join us. So until then, thank you very much.